My child, come. I want you to draw near to me, not with your body, but with your spirit. I want you to quiet the frantic, buzzing noise of your life for just a few moments. Silence the demanding voices of the world, the relentless accusations of the enemy, and even the anxious, striving voice of your own heart. In this sacred quiet, I want to speak a word over you. It is a simple word, but it is the anchor for your soul, the foundation for your life, the very breath of heaven for your weary spirit. Listen closely. Let it sink past your ears and into the very marrow of your being. My grace is enough for you. I know, right now, as you hear those words, a part of you resists. You look at the mountain of your circumstances, the depth of your weakness, the stain of your failures, the weight of your exhaustion, and you think, enough? It doesn't feel like enough. It feels like I need a miracle. I need a rescue. I need a complete overhaul. How can this simple thing, grace, be enough for all of this? That, my beloved, is because you have misunderstood what my grace truly is. You have thought of it as a small, polite sentiment, a little bit of divine favor to top off your own strenuous efforts. You have seen it as a consolation prize for when you fail. But my grace is none of those things. My grace is the most powerful, dynamic, and creative force in the universe. It is not just my unmerited favor, it is my divine empowerment. It is my supernatural ability being infused into your natural reality. It is my strength flowing into your weakness. It is my wisdom flooding your confusion. It is my peace overwhelming your anxiety. It is my life swallowing up your death. Grace is not just a part of my nature. It is the very atmosphere of my kingdom, and I am inviting you to breathe it in. So let's talk about the areas where you feel my grace is not enough, because it is in those very places that I am waiting to prove its infinite sufficiency. Let's start with your weakness. I know it intimately, the thorn in your flesh that you have pleaded with me again and again to remove. It might be a physical ailment, a chronic pain that drains your energy and limits your life. It might be an emotional wound, a recurring battle with anxiety or depression that feels like a constant civil war in your mind. It might be a persistent character flaw, a weakness you despise in yourself and have tried 1,000 times to conquer in your own strength, only to fail again. You see this weakness as a disqualifier, a liability, a sign of your failure. You have begged me to take it away so that you can finally be strong enough to serve me properly. But do you remember what I said to my servant Paul when he pleaded with me 3 times to remove his thorn? I said, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Read those words again. My power is not just demonstrated in your weakness. It is made perfect. It reaches its intended, complete, and most glorious expression in the very place of your inadequacy. Why? Because when you are strong in yourself, you rely on yourself. You operate out of your own talent, your own intellect, your own willpower. And while those things are gifts from me, they have a ceiling. They will eventually run out. But when you are weak, when you come to the absolute end of your own resources, when you have nothing left to offer, you finally have no choice but to rely on me. And that is the posture in which my grace can flow into you without obstruction. Your weakness is not a barrier to my power. It is the very entry point for it. It is the empty space I have been waiting to fill with myself. So stop despising your weakness. Stop seeing it as your enemy. Instead, see it as a sacred altar. A place where you can lay down your self-reliance and receive my divine strength. When you feel that old weakness rising up, do not despair. Instead, learn to say, as Paul did, "Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me." You think you need to be strong for me, but the truth is, you just need to be available to me. My grace is enough for your every weakness. Now let's talk about your past, your failures, your sins, the memories that make you cringe in the dead of night, the shame that clings to you like a heavy, wet blanket. You carry your past like a bag of rocks on your back, and with every step, you feel its weight, reminding you of who you used to be, of the mistakes you made, of the people you hurt. You believe deep down that you are defined by your worst moments. You believe you are forever stained. And because of this, you try to earn my love back. You work hard, you try to be good, you strive to prove that you are worthy of forgiveness. You live as if my grace is something you must achieve. My child, stop. Just stop. My grace is a gift. You cannot earn it. You do not deserve it. That is what makes it grace. Look at the cross. That is the measure of your sin. But it is also the measure of my grace. My grace is not a small trickle meant to cover your minor missteps. It is a boundless, bottomless, raging ocean of mercy. And your greatest sin, your most shameful failure when placed in that ocean, is like a single drop of black ink. It is instantly, completely, and eternally swallowed up, absorbed, and washed away. The debt has been paid in full. The verdict has been rendered not guilty. The case is closed, forever. When I look at you, I do not see your sin. I see the righteousness of my Son, which I have given to you as a free gift. The accuser loves to bring up your past. He loves to play the highlight reel of your failures. But when he comes to me to accuse you, I show him the scars on my Son's hands and I say, payment has already been received. So why do you continue to pay for a debt that has been canceled? Why do you continue to carry a burden that I have already lifted? Receiving my grace for your failure means you must also release yourself. Forgive yourself. Let it go. My grace is not a license to sin, as some would foolishly believe. It is the power that frees you from the cycle of sin and shame. It is my grace that teaches you to say no to ungodliness, not out of fear of punishment, but out of a deep, grateful love for the one who has forgiven you so much. You are no longer a slave to your past. You are a new creation. The old is gone. The new has come. Walk in that freedom. My grace is enough for your every failure. Let's move to your present feeling of inadequacy, the I'm not good enough syndrome. You look at the task before you, the job, the ministry, the parenting, the relationship, and you feel utterly overwhelmed and unqualified. You compare yourself to others who seem so much more gifted, so much more confident, so much more put together. You feel like an imposter, just waiting to be found out. You look at your own meager resources, your limited talents, your flawed character, and you say, I can't do this. I don't have what it takes. And you are absolutely right. You don't, but I do. And my grace is the bridge between your inability and my all-sufficiency. I have a long and glorious history of choosing the unqualified. I chose a shepherd boy, not a soldier, to defeat a giant. I chose a stutterer, not an orator, to lead a nation out of slavery. I chose an uneducated fisherman, not a theologian, to be the rock upon which I would build my church. I do not call the equipped, I equip the called. And the primary piece of equipment I give you is my grace. Think of yourself as a simple clay jar. The jar itself is not glorious. It is plain, it is breakable, it has no inherent value. But its purpose is not to be admired for itself. Its purpose is to contain a treasure. You, my child, are the clay jar. My grace, my power, my presence within you. That is the treasure. The whole point is that the excellence of the power comes from me, not from you. So when you feel weak and inadequate, rejoice. It means the treasure within you will be more clearly seen. People will look at your life and they will see you accomplishing things you have no business accomplishing. Loving people you have no natural ability to love. Having peace in storms you should be terrified of. And they will know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that it is not you. It is the treasure within the jar. It is my grace at work. So stop focusing on the quality of your jar. Stop comparing your jar to other people's jars. Simply present your empty, inadequate jar to me each morning and say, Father, fill me. My grace is enough for your every inadequacy. Now let's address your future and the anxiety that surrounds it. You look ahead at the unknown, and your heart is filled with fear. What if I get sick? What if I lose my job? What if my children make wrong choices? What if I fail? You try to stockpile grace for these imagined future scenarios. You try to feel strong enough now to handle something that might happen a year from now. And in doing so, you crush your present moment under the weight of a future that does not yet exist. My child, my grace is not a reservoir, it is a river. It is not a lump sum deposited into your account at the moment of your salvation, which you must then carefully ration for the rest of your life. It is a fresh, constant, ever-flowing stream. The grace I give you for today is sufficient for today. It is your daily bread. Do you remember when I provided manna for my people in the wilderness? I gave them exactly enough for each day. If they tried to hoard it, to store it up for the next day out of fear, it would rot. They had to learn to trust me to provide for them fresh every single morning. This is how my grace operates. The grace you need for the trial you might face next year will be there in abundance when next year arrives. The strength you will need to walk through a loss that is not yet on your horizon will meet you in that moment. The wisdom you will need for a decision you must make next month will be supplied when the time for that decision comes. Your job is not to worry about the grace for tomorrow. Your job is to receive and walk in the grace for today. When you find your mind racing ahead into the fearful what-ifs, I want you to gently bring it back to the present moment. Take a deep breath and say, "For this moment, right now, I have everything I need. For this moment, His grace is enough. Anxiety is living in the future without me. Peace is living in the present with me. Stay in the present. My grace is enough for this very day." Let's talk about your exhaustion, the bone-deep weariness that comes from striving, from trying so hard, from carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. You are burned out. You feel like a hamster on a wheel, running faster and faster but getting nowhere. You are trying to be a good Christian, a good parent, a good spouse, a good employee, and the effort is draining the life out of you. You are living under the heavy yoke of performance and self-effort. But what was my invitation to you? Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. How can a yoke be easy? How can a burden be light? It is because you are not meant to pull the plow in your own strength. My yoke is a double yoke. It is designed for two. I am in the yoke with you. When you submit to my lead, when you walk in step with me, I am the one pulling the weight. You are simply walking alongside me in my strength, at my pace. The striving life is like being in a rowboat in the middle of a vast ocean, frantically rowing with all your might against the winds and the currents, getting nowhere but exhausted. The life of grace is like raising a sail. You stop your frantic rowing. You admit you cannot cross the ocean in your own power. You lift the sail of faith, and you allow the mighty wind of my Spirit to catch it and to propel you forward with a speed and a direction you could never achieve on your own. It is a life of abiding, not striving. It is a life of surrender, not control. Are you tired? Are you weary? Then stop rowing. Hoist the sail. Let go. My grace is enough to carry you. Finally, let's talk about your suffering, the deep, unavoidable pain that is a part of the human experience, the grief that shatters your heart, the injustice that makes you rage, the long, dark night of the soul where you feel utterly abandoned. In these moments, my grace may not feel like enough. You cry out for deliverance, for the pain to be removed, and yet it remains. It is in these moments that my grace performs its deepest, most mysterious work. My grace does not always remove the suffering, but it always provides the strength to endure the suffering. It is the grace to get through. It is my presence with you in the fire, not always a rescue from the fire. It is my hand holding yours in the deepest, darkest valley. It is the supernatural ability to have a song in the night, a peace that passes all understanding in the midst of the storm. My grace in suffering is what allows you to suffer without becoming bitter, to grieve without losing hope, to be pressed but not crushed, to be struck down but not destroyed. It is the divine alchemy that takes your greatest pain and uses it to produce in you an eternal weight of glory. It is in the soil of your suffering, when watered by my grace, that the most beautiful fruits of the Spirit grow: patience, endurance, compassion, and a deeper intimacy with me, the man of sorrows, than you have ever known before. The world sees your suffering and calls you a victim, but my grace takes that suffering and forges you into a warrior, a survivor, an overcomer whose story will bring hope to countless others. Do not be afraid of the seasons of pain. My grace is more than enough to sustain you through them. So you see, my child, my grace is not a small, inadequate thing. It is the answer to your every need. It is enough for your weakness, your failure, your inadequacy, your anxiety, your exhaustion, and your suffering. It is the all-sufficient, inexhaustible, multifaceted power of God at work in your life. It is the very currency of my kingdom. How do you get more of it? You don't. You cannot get more of what is already infinitely available to you. You can only learn to receive more of it. Grace is like the sunlight. It is always shining, always available in limitless supply. The issue is not with the sun. It is with our willingness to open the curtains. So open the curtains of your heart. Open the hands that have been clenched in fear and striving. Humility is the key. Pride says, I can do it myself. Humility says, I can't, but he can. Come to me every day, not with your accomplishments, but with your emptiness. Not with your strength, but with your need. And I will pour out my grace upon you, grace upon grace. It will be enough. More than enough. It will be your power, your peace, your hope, and your song today and for all your days. This is my daily message for you. Breathe it in. Live in it. My grace is enough for you.